Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Boston Architectural Hinge Company BB0199 NRP 32D 5x5. In short, this is a hinge, obviously, is what this is. This is a large ball bearing heavyweight hinge, and let's dissect the part number. Give us an idea of all of the particulars of this hinge. First of all, it's a ball bearing hinge. That means that there are bearing packets separating the joints of the knuckles. This is a 0199. That means a number of things. Let's see if we can get them all. First of all, it means it's a full mortise hinge. You can see when the leaves are brought parallel together, they're meant to be mortised flush to the edge of the door and frame is how that works. It's a full mortise hinge is what it's called because of the swag on the hinge leaf here. Okay, this hinge leaf is bent up so that it looks as this one does. Okay, full mortise hinge that has the leaves are therefore swagged. So that's first in the 0199. That's part of it. 5 knuckle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can see why it's a 5 knuckle hinge. It is a non-ferrous base material, even though stainless is marginally magnetic once it's been machined. Okay, so it's non-ferrous base material. So it's a stainless base material. It also means that it's heavyweight, meaning that the leaf thickness is thicker than standard. It's considered heavyweight versus it being considered standard weight. Heavyweight on a 5x5 hinge means 190 thousandths thick, and my caliper is telling me 0.181. 0.181. It should be 0.19, but it's 0.181 is what this actually measures. A standard weight hinge on a 5x5 would be 145 thousandths leaf thickness. Thick leaf, full mortise, 5 knuckle, non-ferrous base material. Pretty much covers all of that, I think. Non-removable pin is the next part of the part number. This hinge features a non-removable pin. That's a set screw that's there, so that when the door is closed from the outside, you can see the pin technically from the outside. If you were to, I suppose, look down the side of the door, but you can't get a tool inside of there to really loosen that out. So that set screw is loosened. The hinge pin is tapped flush, tapped all the way down. That set screw is tightened. That set screw goes into a notch that is in the pin of the hinge and seats in there, preventing you from driving the pin out, is how that works. Incredibly effective at preventing someone from removing the pin from a hinge and driving it out, and then easily tipping the door out of place. 32D, that means 32D means two things. Again, non-ferrous base material, stainless steel, and it means it's in a brushed finish. It's solid stainless and a brushed type finish. All those smudges on there are just my fingerprints. 5x5, that's a reference obviously to the size. The height is the first dimension in such a hinge. That makes it a 5-inch tall hinge. It's important to, when understanding the size of a hinge, it's important to realize that the height is the first dimension on hinges like this, and then the width is the second dimension. You're not going to get in trouble really when you've got a square hinge like 5x5, but imagine if this was 5x4.5. It's awfully important to know that the height is 5-inch if you're mortising the door or ordering doors for it, which is a common size because it's very typical that a hinge height will be taller than it is wide when you are dealing with unusually heavy doors, wide doors, doors of significant volume. Okay, every half-inch of hinge height gives the hinge a significantly greater ability to handle the weight of the door. So it's therefore common if you see a project, you'll on like 4 foot by 7 foot hollow metal doors, you'll have 5x4.5 inch hinges specified. The 4.5 is good for an 1 3/4 door in the width, but the height can be increased. Now, where would you use a 5x5? And back to that point, it's important to know the heights first. Not only for when the height is taller than the width of the hinge, but what about a wide throw hinge? Let's say if it was 5x8, Awfully important to know that it's 5 and not 8-inch tall. Same sort of scenario. Aluminum storefront doors are very commonly 4.5 by 4. The point being, it's important to know that the height is the 4.5-inch dimension, the first dimension, which means it's the opposite way that doors are calculated in terms of first dimension by second dimension. Doors are width then height, hinges are height then width. Let's see here now. The 5 by 5 is appropriate. A 5-inch width is appropriate for a thicker than 1 3/4 door. Is the bottom line. 2 1/4 would be a great size. 2-inch, 2 1/4, 2 3/8, 2 1/2, things of that nature. The hinge leaf is just too wide for an 1 3/4 thick door. You really can't get the hinge installed down and have any part of the door remaining as a hinge back set when you try to install a 5-inch wide hinge on an 1 3/4 door. So thicker doors. This client happens to have 2 1/4-inch thick doors and they're oversized. They're like 42-inch wide and they're 9 foot tall. So this is a great option. It's on a coast, so he wants the stainless base material for corrosion resistance, obviously. And this Boston Architectural Hinge Company, or BAHCO hinge, is a great value. So that's the size. Now the location of the screw holes is what's considered template. Screws are included, and these are stainless as well. You're going to get all wood screws and all machine screws, so you should be in good shape with whatever you're installing this down to. We're talking about the location of the screw holes. There's a link below this video to a document called Template that will allow you to review the exact location of the screw holes for this. If you are concerned about the location of screw holes, refer to that template before making a purchase so that you can be sure that there's no surprises when you get the hinge. This pattern has been standard for several decades, so it's unlikely you're going to run into something otherwise. Okay, should be in good shape with that. Why would you use this hinge? It's a great value, is the bottom line. It meets all the requirements and specifications of a hinge of its caliber. Sure, it should be 190 thousandths thick. It was 0.09 thinner than it ought to be. It ought not be that way. It should be 0.190 is the thickness of that hinge. It should not be shy in that at all. A 5 by 5 heavyweight is not 180 thousandths. That's what a 4.5 by 4.5 inch heavyweight hinge is. That would be not a concern, but it should not be 181 thousandths. To put that into terms, it would be, if you took a 16th and then divided that into basically 7 equal pieces, it would be a 1/7 of a 16th of an inch. Probably not an issue to you, but as far as I'm concerned, that should be remedied at the factory. I would not call them heavyweight if they're not 190 thousandths. That's a direct definition. But outside of that, great value. It's a clean-looking hinge with the exception of all my fingerprints that are on it. When it's a heavyweight hinge, it'll have 4 ball bearings rather than 2 that are standard for standard weight. Another reason why is BAHCO does a good job with their hinges. They've got a good deep diversity of those hinges that you're going to use all the time. There's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can review not only all of the Boston Architectural Hinge products that we sell, but a link to the website as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the BAHCO BB0199 NRP-32D 5x5 hinge or any other Boston Architectural Hinge Company product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.